So I wanted to find out how much it would cost a regular software company in terms of how much they had to pay their employees versus just running a subnet. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information on my findings. My name's Jeremy, aka School of Crypto, and I'm bringing you another Bitensor video. So the whole idea with Bitensor is that you have your miners and your validators and your stakers kind of supporting the subnets. And when you're looking at how much it costs a regular software company, for example, it really adds up. So the first cost is the wages. So for a software company, the average salary is about $106,000 just on the base pay. And then you have $17,000 that's usually paid for paid leave. And then you have $8,200 for supplemental pay. And then another $15,600 for insurance. And then you have $7,700 in retirement savings. And then you have $10,500 in benefits. All right. So that amounts to about $165,000 that a company needs to pay per employee. Okay. And then if that company has about 100 employees, that's $16.5 million that they have to shell out for their employees, okay? And that's not including the machines that they have, the equipment, the computers, server costs, everything like that. That's not including that. That's just employees alone, okay? And then I went to look and see how much it would cost a Bitensor subnet owner to pay their miners, validators, on the subnet, $0. You guessed it. So you're saving $16.5 million on employee costs if you just run a subnet. How crazy is that? So again, you don't have to worry about, any of these insurance costs and wages. It's all paid by the emissions from the actual Bitensor blockchain, right? So depending on how popular your subnet is and how much emissions that you're getting based on the flow of volume going into your liquidity pool, you get more emissions as a miner, as a validator, as a subnet owner, right? But it's all coming from the emissions, right? So there aren't any out-of-pocket costs for the subnet owners themselves in order to get the labor of actually solving the problems, which is what the miners do, and actually checking the miners' work, which is what the validators do. So that's just amazing to me, because you just get to cut out all these unnecessary, costly expenses that you usually need to pay employees, right? And then tack on that all these miners are competing against one another, so they have to up their game, right? Whereas a normal employee is on salary and they don't really have that kind of motivation really to kind of step their game up. And obviously, right, they don't want to get fired. They want to keep their job. They want to be able to, maintain that salary, those benefits, all that stuff that I mentioned. But in terms of just the amount of competition involved with miners, it continuously makes these products better and better and better, right? So not only I think are you getting a better product overall as a subnet owner, but you're also saving, and again, if you have 100 miners, right, and then you have 100 employees, you're saving $16.5 million. Isn't that crazy? I just thought that was nuts. And sure, like when you look at startup costs, and this is just an employee comparison, right, in terms of the costs involved, but there's a startup cost because a subnet actually costs about, I think the last sales were like 150 to 200 tau. So you have that, right, that cost. But ultimately, when it comes to the actual labor and the workforce to help make your subnet grow and your digital product grow and your commodity get better and better, and then be able to get it monetized, that is something that is a major benefit to the subnet owner and the business owner in general. So I think the more and more we see subnet owners come to the fold, you're going to see some entrepreneurs coming from a Web 2 or even another Web 3 project that's ultimately going to pick Bitensor as where they want to grow their business because of this flywheel of productivity that happens on a daily basis, you know? Again, I like to compare the miners like they're playing in the championship game or they're playing in game 7 every single day because their emissions or their earnings, they count on it. You know, that's what matters. And there's some of these incentive mechanisms that is a winner take all. So if you're not the best, then you're not winning anything, right? Or there's some subnets where the top 5 or top 10 get the most emissions. So they're ultimately going to have to really perform in order to get those rewards. So I just think like we're going to see some people from all walks of life that have done traditional businesses that are going to discover Bitensor and realize, wow, I can get this amazing workforce from anywhere in the world that are just as good as these employees that I have to pay $165,000 for every year. And basically get them for free, right? Because like if you have a good enough incentive mechanism, if you have a good enough subnet, if it's developing a good enough product, the people will come, the miners will come, right? And then you'll have validators checking their work. So yeah, $165,000, $0, $16.5 million for 100 people to work at your company versus $0 for 100 people to work for your company. It's kind of like an easy choice to make, right? So that's what I wanted to kind of share with you. What do you think about this? You think that there's going to be more Web 2 or Web 3 traditional, entrepreneurs that come to Bitensor and then ultimately, come to build their project here and build their business and be able to kind of utilize the miners and the validators, or do you think that it's kind of going to be more so the traditional business route and you're not going to see as many people from that world kind of come into play? Definitely let me know on the comments down below. If you like the content, give me a pound that like, and definitely subscribe. And sorry I've been away for a couple of days, but I'm going to start bringing you content every single day. Here for you guys, here for the Bitensor community, and it's always a pleasure. And if you're celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.